The night sky was calm and peaceful over the desert, filled with endless stars that seemed to shine brighter than anywhere else on Earth. The dunes stretched for miles, glowing faintly under the silver light of the moon. Daniel, a young engineer, with a restless heart, loved to spend his free days wandering through these lonely places. He enjoyed the silence of the desert. It gave him time to think, to breathe, and to escape from the noise of his daily life. But on this night, something strange was waiting for him, something that would change his life forever. It began with a sound. At first, Daniel thought it was thunder, though the sky was perfectly clear. Then he noticed a bright flash, tearing across the stars, moving faster than any plane he had ever seen. The light streaked downward, growing brighter and closer until suddenly the ground shook. A deafening crash echoed through the desert, followed by a plume of smoke rising from beyond the dunes. Daniel froze, his heart racing. It was not a shooting star. He had seen enough to know this was something more. Curiosity pulled at him, and though a part of him wanted to turn back, his legs carried him forward toward the smoke. The walk felt longer than it should have, but soon Daniel saw twisted metal scattered across the sand. He approached carefully, amazed by the strange symbols carved into the fragments. They were not in any language he knew. His breath caught in his throat as he realized what he was looking at. It wasn't a plane, and it wasn't from Earth. The wreckage looked like part of a ship, but unlike anything humans had ever built. Then he heard it. A faint sound, almost like a whisper. At first he thought it was the wind, but no, it was different. It was weak, broken, and coming from the shadows, near a large piece of the wreck. Daniel's pulse quickened as he moved closer. There, half hidden in the sand, lay a figure. It was not human. Daniel's first instinct was fear, but his second was wonder. The figure was tall and slender, its skin glowing faintly as though lit from within. The creature's face carried features, both strange and beautiful, with eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. Armor covered parts of its body, though broken and scorched from the crash. And then he noticed the blood, or something that looked like blood, slowly seeping from a wound across its side. The figure was breathing, but only barely. Daniel crouched beside it, unsure what to do. His mind screamed at him to run, but the sound of its shallow breaths held him in place. He could not walk away. Slowly, carefully, he reached out a hand. The creature stirred, its eyes opening to meet his. In that instant, Daniel felt a rush of emotions not his own. Pain, fear, and an overwhelming will to survive. The alien tried to speak, and though the words were strange, broken, and heavy with an accent from another world, Daniel could understand enough. Help. Please. Something inside him shifted. This was no monster. This was someone in need. Daniel quickly looked through his backpack, pulling out the small first aid kit he always carried on hikes. He did not know if human supplies could help, but he had to try. With trembling hands, he cleaned the wound as best as he could, wrapping it tightly with bandages. The alien winced but did not resist. Instead, its eyes locked on his, and Daniel felt a strange warmth in his chest, as if the simple act of kindness had created a bridge between them. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The desert around them was silent except for the wind. Daniel finally whispered, "Who are you?" The alien's lips parted, and a faint voice answered, "Serenia, pilot. Mission failed." Her words were slow and broken, but Daniel understood. Enough. She was a pilot from another world. Her ship had crashed. She was stranded. Daniel sat back, overwhelmed. A real alien was lying in front of him, injured and helpless. It was the kind of thing people joked about in stories or movies, yet here it was, real, undeniable, and needing him. He felt fear again, but stronger than that was a sense of responsibility. If he left her here, she would die. And somehow, Daniel knew he could not let that happen. Serenia tried to move, but her strength failed. She groaned softly, her voice trembling. "No. Strength. Need. Bond." Daniel didn't understand what she meant yet, but the desperation in her tone was clear. He gently helped her sit against a piece of the wreckage, noticing how heavy her breathing had become. His mind was racing with questions. Where had she come from? What did she mean by bond? Were others coming? But there was no time for answers. Right now she was barely hanging on. Daniel glanced back toward the horizon. They were far from any towns or roads, but he knew it wouldn't stay quiet for long. The crash had been loud. Someone must have seen the light in the sky. If the military came, they would not see Serenia as someone who needed help. They would see her as a threat. That thought chilled him more than anything. He needed to think fast. Turning back to her, he spoke softly, trying to keep her awake. "Don't worry, I'll help you. You're safe with me." Her silver eyes softened, and for the first time a faint smile touched her lips. She whispered, "Human. Kind." Those two words struck Daniel deeply. In her moment of pain, she had chosen to trust him. A stranger. A man from a species she had likely only studied from afar, and he realized, sitting there in the cold desert night beside an injured alien pilot, that his life would never be the same again. The stars above seemed brighter than ever, as though the universe itself was watching. Daniel didn't know what tomorrow would bring, or how he would protect her from the dangers that were surely coming. But he knew one thing with certainty. He could not walk away. Serenia's fate, and perhaps something far larger, was now in his hands. And as he looked at her, weak but alive, he felt a strange spark inside him. It wasn't fear anymore. It was hope. Daniel stayed close to Serenia through the night, listening to her breathing rise and fall. The desert air was cold, and the stars stretched endlessly above them. He could hardly believe what was happening. An alien, something he had only ever imagined in movies or books, was sitting right beside him, alive, wounded, and speaking to him in broken words. Every time he glanced at her, he felt as if he were standing at the edge of a dream. As the hours passed, she began to speak more clearly. Her words were slow, as if she was shaping them carefully, but her voice carried a kind of quiet strength. Daniel leaned closer to hear her. "My ship, mission, failed. Attackers found me. Needed to escape. Landed here." Daniel frowned. "Attackers? You mean others from space?" She nodded weakly. "Yes, enemy species chasing me, my kind, scattered across the stars. We fight. Long war." Hearing this made Daniel's stomach twist. Somewhere out there beyond the dark sky, whole civilizations were fighting wars, and here he was, just an ordinary man who had never even left his own planet. Yet somehow he had stumbled into the middle of it. He wanted to ask more, but then Serenia's eyes closed for a moment, and her head tilted forward. Alarmed, Daniel gently shook her shoulder. "Hey, don't sleep yet. Stay with me." Her eyes opened again, silver and glowing faintly. She whispered, "I can't last. My body weak. Healing. Needs more." Daniel furrowed his brow. "What do you mean? I already patched you up. Do you need medicine, food, water?" Serenia shook her head slowly. "No, not enough. My species heals through energy. Bonding with another gives strength. Without bond, I fade." Daniel blinked, confused. "Bonding? What kind of bonding?" She struggled to find the words. Her voice was soft, almost like a song. "It is connection. Two minds, two hearts. We share energy, share life. Not like your medicines. Different, stronger, sacred." Her explanation left Daniel stunned. He tried to imagine it, but it was beyond anything he knew. Humans healed with medicine, surgeries, and rest. But Serenia's people, her very body, needed a partner's energy to recover. It sounded unbelievable, yet the way she spoke made him believe it was true. He looked at her carefully. Her skin glowed less brightly than before. Her shoulders slumped, and every breath seemed like a battle. She wasn't lying. Without this bond, she would not survive. For a long time, Daniel didn't speak. His mind was racing. What she was asking of him wasn't simple. He didn't even know what it would feel like or if he could handle it, and part of him was afraid. But as he sat there staring at her trembling form, he also felt something else, responsibility. She had trusted him. She had opened herself to him when she could have seen him as nothing more than a stranger. Could he really walk away now, knowing she would die? Serenya's voice broke the silence. I know. Fear in you. But trust. I harm you not. Bonding will not break you, only join us, only heal. Her eyes softened, glowing faintly. Human heart, strong. You can help me. Daniel's chest tightened. He remembered how, when he first touched her wound, he had felt emotions that weren't his own, her pain, her fear, her will to survive. Maybe this was part of that. Bond. Maybe, without knowing it, he had already taken the first step. He tried to calm his thoughts. Okay, he said softly. I don't understand it all yet, but I'll try. I don't want to let you die out here. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. For the first time since he found her, relief filled her eyes. Thank you, Daniel. The sound of his name spoken in her gentle voice made him shiver. Somehow she already knew it without asking. Perhaps it had slipped from his mind when their energies brushed against each other before. The bond, he thought, was already working in small ways. As dawn began to paint the desert sky with colors of orange and pink, Daniel gave Serenya some water. She sipped it slowly, her hands trembling as though even lifting the cup required effort. He sat beside her in silence, watching the sunrise. The world looked the same, yet everything in his life had changed. Then a sudden thought struck him. If the crash had been visible from far away, people might be coming soon. And not just ordinary people, authorities, the military, scientists. If they found Serenya, what would they do? He shivered at the possibilities. They wouldn't treat her with kindness. She would be captured, studied, maybe even harmed. He turned to her quickly. We can't stay here. Someone will come looking. They'll find the wreck. Serenya's eyes flicked toward the broken remains of her ship. Pain filled her voice. Yes, you are right. If your people find me, danger. For me. For you too. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. Then we have to move you somewhere safe. She looked at him doubtful. I cannot walk far. Daniel thought hard. There was an old storage cabin not too far from where he parked his car, used by hikers as shelter during storms. If he could get her there, at least she would be hidden for a while. He glanced at the wreck again. Time was short. With determination, he stood. I'll carry you. Don't worry about the rest. Serenya's silver eyes widened slightly. For someone who had just met her, Daniel's resolve was unexpected. But she saw no hesitation in him, only courage. Slowly, she gave a small nod. You are brave. I accept. Daniel carefully slid his arms under her, lifting her from the sand. She was lighter than he expected, though her armor added some weight. She rested against him weakly, her head falling against his shoulder. For a brief moment, Daniel felt the warmth of her skin, and with it came a spark inside his mind, like a whisper of her energy brushing against his own. It startled him, but he kept walking, step by step across the dunes, his heart set on getting her to safety. Every step felt heavy but also purposeful. This wasn't just about curiosity anymore. It wasn't about discovering something new. This was about saving a life. As the cabin came into sight in the distance, Daniel knew he had made his choice. He had chosen to protect Serenya, to believe in her words and to take a step into the unknown. And though fear still lingered in his heart, he felt something stronger growing inside him, hope, and the beginning of trust. The desert sun rose, higher, shining over the wreckage far behind them, a silent reminder that Daniel's world had forever changed. Daniel reached the old storage cabin just as the sun climbed higher in the sky. The small wooden shelter stood half buried in the sand, its walls weathered by years of desert winds. To most hikers, it was nothing more than a forgotten hut, but today it would become a sanctuary. Daniel gently laid Serenia down inside on a makeshift bed of blankets he found in a corner. She looked exhausted, her glowing eyes dimmer than before. For a moment, Daniel just stood there, breathing hard from the long walk, staring at her. He felt torn between disbelief and responsibility. Only hours ago, he had been a man enjoying the peace of the desert. Now he was the protector of an alien being who had fallen from the stars. His heart beat fast with both fear and wonder. Serenia's voice was weak but calm. "Safe here?" Daniel nodded. "Yes. No one comes here. We'll be hidden for now." She closed her eyes briefly, relief softening her expression. Daniel pulled out his water bottle again, offering her another sip. She accepted, though her hands trembled so much that he held the bottle for her. Watching her struggle stirred something inside him, a quiet determination that grew stronger every second. After she rested for a while, Daniel asked gently, "You said last night, you need a bond to heal. Can you explain more? I don't understand how it works." Her silver eyes met his, glowing faintly in the dim light of the cabin. "My species and wounded body cannot heal alone. Energy flows weak. When we bond, two spirits connect. Partner gives life strength. Not taken, but shared. Both feel it. Both change." Daniel swallowed. "And you need me to be that partner?" Serenia nodded. "Yes. Without it, I fade away." Daniel leaned back against the wall, staring at the cracked ceiling. The idea was overwhelming. He had never been responsible for something so enormous. It wasn't just about helping with bandages or food. This was about giving part of himself, something invisible yet powerful. Could he really do it? As silence stretched between them, Serenia spoke again, her tone softer. "I feel hesitation. It is natural. Your people not know of this. But trust me, Daniel. No harm will come. Only healing. Only connection." Her words carried a calmness that settled in his chest. He remembered the moment he first touched her wound, the strange rush of emotions, the warmth that wasn't his own. Maybe he had already felt the beginning of this bond. Still, doubt circled in his mind. He thought about what might happen if others discovered her. Scientists would want to study her. Soldiers would want to capture her. Governments would try to use her. And if they learned about bonding, what would they do? The thought chilled him. Serenia noticed the change in his expression. She tilted her head slightly. "You fear for me, for yourself. But know this. I chose you. When you touched me, I felt your heart. Honest, kind, stronger than you think. You are not ordinary, Daniel." Her words struck him deeply. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just an engineer, someone who fixed machines and tried to live a quiet life. But to Serenia, he was something more. Somehow she saw value in him that he had never seen in himself. Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I want to help, I really do. But I don't know if I'm enough. What if I fail you?" Serenia gave a faint smile, her voice steady, despite her weakness. "Then we fail together. But I believe we will not. Believe, Daniel, as I believe in you." Her trust in him felt heavier than any burden, yet at the same time it gave him strength. Slowly he nodded. "Okay, I'll try. I don't know how, but I'll do whatever I can to help you." Relief washed across her face, and her eyes closed as if a great weight had been lifted. For the first time since the crash, she allowed herself to rest peacefully. Daniel watched her quietly, then turned his attention to the world outside. Through a small gap in the cabin wall, he saw dust rising in the distance. His heart skipped a beat. Vehicles. People were coming, perhaps drawn by the smoke of the wreckage, perhaps searching for answers. He quickly closed the gap and sat back, down beside Serenia. He couldn't let her know yet. She needed rest, not worry. But the sight confirmed what he already knew. They didn't have much time. As the day stretched on, Daniel stayed at her side. He gave her water, adjusted the blankets, and listened whenever she spoke. She told him small pieces of her life, though her words were often broken. She spoke of a home among the stars where skies shimmered with colors humans had never seen. She told him about her people, who lived not by taking, but by sharing. Energy, strength, and trust. Her voice carried both pride and sadness, for she did not know if she would ever see her home again. Listening to her stories, Daniel felt his world expand. The universe no longer seemed like empty space filled with stars. It was alive, full of voices, battles, and journeys. And somehow, he had become part of it. When evening returned, Serenia stirred. Her eyes glowed a little brighter now, though her body was still weak. She looked at him seriously. The bond must begin soon. If we wait too long, I will not recover. Daniel felt his throat tighten. The moment he had been trying to prepare himself for was here. He nodded slowly. Tell me what to do. Serenia reached out a trembling hand, placing it gently over his chest. The touch was light, yet Daniel felt a sudden rush inside him, like warmth spreading through his veins. Her voice was steady but soft. Do not fear. Open your heart. Let me in. I will guide. Daniel closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing with certainty. He couldn't turn back now. He had made his decision. As the desert night wrapped around the cabin, the silence was broken only by the sound of their breaths. The beginning of the bond was near, and with it the choice that would change both of their lives forever. The cabin was quiet, save for the soft sound of the desert wind outside. Daniel sat beside Serenia, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. He had prepared himself as best he could, but nothing could truly prepare him for the connection she had described. He glanced at her silver eyes glowing softly in the dim light. She gave him a gentle nod, as if encouraging him to take the next step. Are you ready? She whispered, her voice trembling slightly but firm. Daniel swallowed, hard, and nodded. I think so. Serenia lifted her hand again and placed it gently over his chest. Immediately, Daniel felt warmth spreading from the point of contact, a strange energy that wasn't just physical. It was deeper, something that seemed to touch his very thoughts and emotions. For a moment, he felt dizzy, as though he were standing in a gentle whirlwind of feelings. Close your eyes, Serenia said softly. Feel me. Feel yourself. Don't resist. Daniel obeyed, focusing on the rhythm of his own heartbeat, then on the pulse beneath her hand. Slowly it began to synchronize with his. He could feel her fear, her pain, her hope. But alongside it, he sensed her courage, the determination that had carried her across the stars and kept her alive after the crash. He felt a strange connection, a bridge forming between their minds. Now, Serenia whispered, share your strength. Let it flow to me. We are one in this moment. Daniel hesitated for a fraction of a second, then focused. He let himself feel the warmth of his own life, the memories of his past, his hope for the future, the care he felt for her. It was as if his emotions became tangible, moving from him to her. He felt her responding immediately, a pulse of energy that traveled through his body like sunlight streaming through water. Suddenly, Daniel felt something unfamiliar. Her memories, her experiences, brushing against his mind. He saw flashes of distant planets, towering cities of light and metal, vast oceans that glowed under alien suns. He glimpsed battles she had fought, losses she had endured, and moments of solitude among the stars. It was overwhelming, yet he did not panic. Instead, he accepted it, letting the images wash over him, knowing that they were part of her, part of the bond they were forming. Serenia, in turn, felt Daniel's memories. The quiet moments of his life on Earth, the times he had struggled, the people he cared about, and the dreams he kept secret. She understood him in a way no one else ever had. Her own heart softened further and her strength began to return. She felt warmth and energy flowing into her body, stitching together wounds that had seemed impossible to heal. Time seemed to stretch. Minutes and hours passed unnoticed as they remained connected, sharing more than just strength. They shared trust, understanding, and a sense of hope neither had felt before. Daniel realized that the bond was not only healing her body, it was healing her spirit. And in return, he felt something awaken within himself, a new awareness of courage, empathy, and resilience. At one point, Daniel opened his eyes and saw Serenia's skin glowing brighter, her silver eyes shimmering with renewed energy. Her breathing had steadied and her armor no longer seemed so heavy. She smiled at him, a smile that carried gratitude, relief, and something more profound, something that words could not fully describe. "You are amazing," Daniel whispered, still feeling the lingering connection of their bond. I didn't know it could feel like this." Serenia's smile widened slightly. "Not just healing, transformation. We share, change. Not only body, mind, heart." Daniel nodded slowly, understanding for the first time that this bond was more than a necessity for survival. It was a connection that reshaped who they were, that brought them closer in ways neither could have imagined. They were no longer just two beings from different worlds. They had become part of something greater, a shared energy that pulsed between them like a living force. Eventually, the intensity of the connection softened. They remained close, but the rush of energy settled into a steady warmth. Daniel could feel her strength returning fully, her body and spirit renewed. Serenia sat upright for the first time since he had found her, her silver eyes bright and lively. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice steady and full of emotion. "I am whole again. Because of you." Daniel smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. "No, thank you. For trusting me." They sat together for a long time in the quiet of the cabin, the bond still present but gentler now. Neither of them spoke much, for words seemed unnecessary. The bond had said more than any words could convey, and as the sun began to set outside, painting the desert in shades of orange and purple, they both knew that their lives had been forever changed. Daniel realized that the bond had not only saved Serenia, but it had also changed him. He could feel her presence even when they weren't touching, a constant reminder of courage, trust, and the vast possibilities of the universe. And Serenia, now fully healed, felt a warmth toward Daniel that she had never known before. Gratitude, respect, and a growing connection that went beyond survival. For the first time since her crash, Serenia felt hope not only for herself, but for the future. With Daniel by her side, she realized she might not have to face the dangers of her world alone. Together, they had discovered the strength of connection, and both knew that it would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead. With her strength fully restored, Serenia rose from the blankets, her movements graceful and confident once more. Daniel watched her carefully, amazed at the transformation. The energy that had once been fading within her now radiated outward, illuminating the small cabin. It was clear that the bond had done more than heal. It had awakened something powerful and enduring in both of them. She turned to him, her silver eyes reflecting the desert light streaming through the cracks in the cabin walls. "Daniel, the time has come for decisions," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "I know, I've been thinking about it too. Your people, they'll be looking for you. And this world, it's not ready for what you are." Serenia's expression was serious but calm. "I must return. My kind waits. But the bond we share, it cannot be broken. Not even by distance." Daniel swallowed hard. The thought of letting her leave was difficult, but he understood. She had a life among the stars, a responsibility to her people. Yet the bond they had formed was more than survival. It was a connection of heart and mind, a thread that tied them together across worlds. "I don't want to lose you," Daniel said quietly, the desert wind whispering through the cabin. Serenia stepped closer, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "You will not. We are joined, no matter where I go. But you must decide, Daniel. Will you stay on Earth, or step into the stars with me?" The question weighed heavily on him. Earth was familiar, safe, and known. But beyond the stars lay adventure, wonder, and the unknown. With Serenia by his side, he could explore worlds he had only dreamed of, face challenges unimaginable, and continue the bond they had forged together. He took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of her hand and the strength of the bond that still pulsed between them. Slowly he nodded. "I'll go. Wherever you go, I'll follow." Serenia's eyes shimmered with a mixture of surprise and joy. "You choose adventure, danger, and trust." "I am honored." They spent the next hours preparing. Daniel helped repair parts of her ship, learning quickly under Serenia's guidance. She explained the controls, the navigation, and the protocols of her people. Each moment brought them closer, and the trust between them deepened. What had begun as necessity had grown into partnership, and the excitement of the unknown filled them both with anticipation. As night fell over the desert, the stars above seemed to shine brighter than ever. Serenia's ship was repaired, glowing faintly with its alien energy. Daniel stood beside her, ready for the journey ahead. "Are you ready?" Serenia asked, her voice calm but filled with warmth. Daniel took a deep breath, feeling the bond strong and steady between them. "Yes, let's go." The ship lifted silently into the night sky, leaving the desert behind. Daniel looked out at the stars, feeling a mixture of awe and exhilaration. Serenia beside him, alive and whole, they were no longer bound by fear or uncertainty. Together they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. As the earth faded below them, Daniel realized that healing had brought them together, but trust, courage, and love would carry them farther than either could have imagined. The stars stretched endlessly before them, filled with possibilities, and for the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. And as the ship soared into the cosmos, carrying two unlikely partners bound by fate, the adventure of a lifetime had only just begun.